This is one of the most hype moments in disc golf history.
For the win.
With heartbreak, heroic moments, and everything in between, let's break down the European Disc Golf Festival.
The biggest putt of his entire career. Are you kidding me?
And if you like content like this and want to stay in the loop for disc golf news, be sure to subscribe. And just some quick facts about the event. The entirety of the course is located in the center of the city, leading to it being the perfect spot for spectators. And along with that, it was also designed by Seppo Paju, first time for this course to be a major. And there were big shoes to fill because Worlds is just a couple weeks away. But let me tell you, it did not disappoint. With the starting hole 1 being of epic proportions, feeling extremely Olympic, and proving that this course is well worth being a host of Worlds in 2029. Yes, you heard that right. This course will be a Worlds course. And for payouts, the winner of MPO netted $16,450 and FPO $9,643, very uniquely precise. And with the pre-tournament distance competition leading to AB ripping 665-foot bombs, you knew it was going to be electric. So first up, let's get into FPO because it was just brutal. And so while this entirety of FPO did feel like a bit of a two-horse race, Ella Hansen did show up with pretty amazing style with a 9 under in round 3. And if she did follow up the final round with a 9 under, she would have won this event, leading to a 2 under on the round with a couple of OBs. But really for a course like this, you wouldn't expect Ella to just destroy, so the fact that she managed to get a podium finish at a major is very impressive. But if you're watching any of this event, you kind of knew it was between two names, Silva and Kristin. And before we get into the battle of Kristin versus Silva, I just want to reiterate something from my last video. Kristin, a couple of years ago, shot a +8 in the final round with a 910 rated failure of a round. Some of the truly worst golf we have ever seen from her, so that kind of foreshadows a bit of how this final round went. And here is just a couple of her failures in the final round. But having said that, Kristin was leading by 5 strokes after 6 holes. Now, was she crushing it? Definitely not, with 2 missed C1 putts early on, but it really felt much like that terrible round in 2023 that she could just coast, just maintaining pars and a couple of birdies here and there. But then hole 11 was definitely the point where we knew something was wrong, with a super weird uncommitted first putt that just totally misses, and then a second follow-up that also is just not even close. And so she 3 putts, leading to a double, giving up 3 strokes and 1 hole to Silva. And so then the real battle begins, with Silva and Kristin battling hole after hole after hole. And honestly, besides Silva's amazing putting, I would say they were both neck and neck, with neither of them looking much better than the other. But then again, the putting yips hits Kristin hard, giving up yet another stroke to Silva. But I want to reiterate, it is still definitely Kristin's game to lose because she is still just so favored and has so much good history at majors. And so she pitches up on hole 16 and Silva gets a very impressive birdie. But the real climax of this entire round is definitely hole 17. It has hung up so many players that you would not have think would get caught up, but it is late in the round, a very narrow tree line, and it demands accuracy and not hitting any trees even late in the flight because the OB lines are super tight. And Silva throws a very good line to get an easy birdie, and Kristin, while it was committed, missed her C2 putt, but this is where everything falls apart, leading to effectively a 4 putt on hole 17, tied for the lead. So she lost 3 strokes to Silva in 1 hole with 1 hole to go. And obviously, you know, Silva's not going to choke that, so Silva wins in Estonia, with everyone wanting Kristin to win this. It was absolutely jarring of an experience to watch. It was painful, and even if you love Silva, you do not want Kristin to lose in this type of manner. So definitely a huge shout out to Silva for getting this win, playing extremely consistently, and nailing so many good putts.
It feels amazing. It has been my goal for years already, so it means a lot.
The champagne showers! Let the celebration begin!
This really felt more like Kristin just crumbling to the pressure, which I assume is very high in Estonia, with everybody watching, cheering you on in particular. And so that leads us to her post. This week, I entered a space of love so vast it felt beyond time and space, and yet inside I was falling apart. My putting felt like it had left me completely. My body and mind were exhausted. But maybe that's what made the love and support around me even more profound. Thank you for holding me through it all. Very unique. Oh my goodness, that is insane. But while it is insane, I still feel like it wasn't totally unexpected with so much pressure, her not performing well this entire season relative to what we know she can play, but she did not show it today with the worst putting stats of every single person in the division, including Henna. And I was talking to Josh Mansfield, the host of the Upshot podcast, who was actually there in person. He was saying that the entirety of this event felt almost uncomfortable to be at because you have so many fans wanting you to win, cheering you on, going and crazy when you make a good putt, but in all reality, that was not this round. There were so many heartbreak moments that according to his perspective, it just sounded miserable to be at because everybody was so out of sorts, not really sure what to do, like obviously cheering on Silva, but recognizing that Kristin, probably the best disc golf player in FPO history, did not perform today in front of every single Estonian fan. It was a very surreal experience according to him, and so it just leads to absolute heartbreak. But having said that, I think a Worlds win would definitely redeem this, but still the emotional impact cannot be understated for Kristin. I still do love Silva's reactions, especially in these highlight moments, because it really shows some emotion that you never see otherwise, and she is such an honest and caring player, so major shout out to you, Silva, becoming a first-time major champion. All right, I am a dad, I have a lot less time on my hands, so I want to kind of just purge my entire store. So for the entire duration of July, all these discs will be discounted 20% off if you use code EU20. It is a huge weight off my shoulders and helps support me to make all these videos. Go down to wildrunsdiscgolf.com and use code EU20. So with that, let's get back to the recap. And so that leads us to MPO, starting with the players that I thought would be in the mix, but really weren't. Starting with Ricky, Niklas, and AB. While they all looked good at moments, they still never felt like they were stringing a good round together. Even though AB did have a 10 under, he was just too far back to really fight for the win, and so they all finished outside the podium. But surprise, surprise, the GOAT reappears. That is Paul McBeth, in very sneaky fashion, like he was on league card, but no one really thought he was going to do anything. He still shot a 12 under, almost the hot round, and looked great throughout this entire final round. Obviously, he knew he had not that much to lose, but when others were crumbling, I felt like he really maintained his composure very well, and so he finishes in 4th place. But the player that I really thought was going to come out on top did not perform that well today, and that is Isaac. Looking amazing, going 5 under through 6. It all quickly fell apart on hole 7 with one of the most routine upshots you can ever imagine, but this is my one critique of Isaac, and it maintains to always be true, and that is that he rushes shots a little bit too quickly. Obviously, that is how he throws, so to change that rhythm might be dumb, but at least from an outsider's perspective, it seemed to have cost him this entire event because he threw kind of a lazy upshot. It hits branches early, goes into the out of bounds, and then rushes his putt, and missing that, leading to a double, quickly ruining any momentum that he had. And then the very next hole, he goes out of bounds again, and so even though he finished the back half of this round with 7 birdies, it just didn't matter. Your pars feel like bogeys, so if you're getting bogeys, you are just donezo. So that leads us to the real battle, Gannon versus Calvin. And going into this round, I was obviously kind of preferring Calvin to win because he's never won a major before, but I had no idea how many people wanted Gannon to lose and Calvin to win. I don't really know if people wanted Gannon to lose more than Calvin to win, but it certainly felt palpable that every single person I talked to wanted Calvin to win this. And very quickly, you can tell that it was going to be a battle, birdie after birdie after birdie, and when one person would par, the other person would birdie, and then they would switch again and again with so many amazingly controlled upshots that may not come across on coverage, but all the OB lines are incredibly tight. But the real breaking point of this round was hole 9, where Calvin got his drive right up to circle 1 and nailed the putt, and Gannon went early OB, almost coming back in bounds, but not quite, leading to a bogey on a very gettable hole, giving up 2 strokes with 9 holes to go. But Gannon Burr truly is ice cold and just took that moment to regain his composure and went on a birdie fest with 6 total back-to-back birdies. And so while Calvin was playing great, he just took a couple of pars on hole 11 and 14, and Gannon absolutely capitalized on those moments. And then they both take birdies on 15, leading to the last 3 holes, which could go anyway. And then after hole 16, where Calvin got a very nice birdie, it all comes down to 17-18. And like we've seen before, these holes can absolutely be a make or break. So with Calvin going up first, he absolutely nails the drive, leading to a very gettable birdie. And then Gannon's shot, while it did look a little squirrely, was still in birdie range, but it was going to require a very deep C2 putt. And since we know Gannon can make these putts, like USGGC hole 17, I honestly thought he was going to nail this, but then Gannon just narrowly throws it a little bit too low, and so I thought it was going to be a GG, but it's never that simple, and Calvin misses the 20-foot putt. Just absolute devastation, probably compounded by so many intense emotions. But so we move on to hole 18, and again, Calvin is going up first, and he throws it way wide, leading to probably a 50-foot putt, and Gannon throws it inside circle 1, probably like a 20-footer. So with Calvin leading by 1, if he can nail this putt, he will secure his first major win.
For the win.
Calvin Heimburg wins! Calvin Heimburg does it! The biggest putt of his entire career. Are you kidding
And
me?
that's how we do it. Gannon wins his first major. Let's fucking go. I could not be more stoked in this moment. I actually yelled. I literally yelled Calvin, and it woke up my baby. He started crying. I felt bad as a parent. I was like, okay, gotta chill out. But I was so stoked. I could not believe he made this putt. He put the pizza in the oven and got the win. Obviously, I have no hate against Gannon. I actually really like Gannon, but he fell short by one stroke. And after all these years, I remember watching Calvin in 2015 at Worlds, looking like he had a chance and just fell short. And then of course, 2021 Worlds, looks like he had a chance and then he kind of just fell apart in the final round. There has been so many moments where you expect Calvin to win in majors and it just has not come into fruition, but that is all no longer. We finally get Calvin winning a major, with everyone loving how much emotion he shared in that particular moment.
You've been one of the most likable, one of the most iconic figures in our sport. I don't think there's a single disc golf fan out there that isn't elated to see you win your first major title today.
It's been something on the bucket list for, as long as I've been touring. So it means everything, to do it. And, it feels amazing. Felt pretty nervous on the front nine, honestly. And was able to push through that, threw a lot of shots really close, was able to score well there. And then they kind of faded for a while there until the very end. Missed a short putt there on 17, which could have kind of sealed it. Was able to make a big one on 18, so it didn't matter.
And like the commentator Charlie Eisenhood said, Calvin is now the 8th all-time Elite Series major win, tied with Nate Doss. And also he has the highest event rating average with a 1080. There really is something in the water when we get into these European events because the stroke separation is truly unmatched. I was in shambles, Calvin was in shambles, and then in the winning ceremony, Calvin has to help Gannon with his champagne pour because he's just a total noob. He is still underage, so it felt absolutely hilarious in the moment, but the champ is always willing to help Gannon. And so that's that. We get Worlds in just under 2 weeks. It is going to be insane. I cannot wait. I will actually be there filming. So if you want to see some great content, be sure to subscribe and be sure to go down to wildrunsdiscgolf.com and check out my great deals during this major section using code EU20 for 20% off your order.